But there was this everyone and welcome at the Blue Guitar YouTube channel. My name is Emanuel and it's my big honor and pleasure to be hosting tonight's show. It's Academy of Shred time. It's episode 274 if you count in all the great episodes of Academy of Tone that Thomas did before. I can't, I just have to keep smiling today. It's a very special episode. I mean, every live stream, it's basically like playing a gig. It's just a great thing to be here for you guys, telling you a little bit about guitar playing tones, about Blue Guitar products and all this good stuff. But today, it has been a very emotional process to get here because we have a great guest on the show. So you're going to see a different face other than mine as well. And you've just seen him before, in the track we did. It's none else than Tobias Kersting. Tobias is a great guy, and we have a backstory which we'll talk about in the interview that you're going to see very, very soon. But, in a nutshell, I've been a fan of his band, Orden Ogan, that he played in for 15 years. I've been a fan of Grave Digger, the other band that he plays in right now. Two very big German bands that did inspire me quite a lot. When I was still going to school, when I was quite a young boy, I'm eager to say, I was practicing his licks. I was listening to his music. He was and still is one of my favorite guitar players, and I owe him a lot. This is just crazy for me to be hosting a show with Tobias here as a guest. So without further ado, we'll switch to the interview. And today, we'll have a little different structure. So the interview is quite long. It's quite interesting, and we covered a lot of ground there. We'll be talking about Tobias' time in Orden Ogan. We'll be talking about Tobias' time in Grave Digger right now. We'll be talking about using the AMP1 live and in the studio. We'll talk about how to compose stuff, how to play, how to practice. There's so many great topics, and there could be no one better than Toby, right, to join me on such an important episode. So I'll be live from time to time, so feel free to ask questions. We try to answer them in the chat as we go. I'm gonna be in touch with Toby sometimes, right? And if you have a question for Toby, also I'm trying to forward it to him. This is such an exciting episode. I'm super happy to spend the next 2.5 hours or so with you. So we have a lot of time tonight, and so many great things to talk about tonight. One thing I may have realized is, I thought I'd say this right in the beginning, right? The AMP1 was turned off, the AMP1 Iridium was turned off, and that is on purpose, because on this track I was using the Mercury edition, which I always, keep saying this is a great amp. I use it quite a lot, and I show you what I did to achieve the tones that I got there. Also, I have the amp settings from Toby. I just got them right before the live stream, so I couldn't put them in the video yet. But we'll talk about Toby's amp settings as well. We try to recreate the sounds that he is using live on stage with Grave Digger. I'm super excited. But hey, let's go. Let's start the interview, part 1. I see you in, half an hour or something like this, right? So I'll be right back. Enjoy. Hey everyone, and welcome at the Blue Guitar YouTube channel. My name is Emanuel, and I am presenting to you today's episode of Academy of Shred, and we have a very special guest here. I'm extremely happy to announce Tobias Kersting. Hey Tobias.
Hey guys, happy to be here on the channel, and thank you, Emanuel, for inviting me.
Well, you're welcome. So before we get into all these interesting things that we have talked about before and let the viewers know what we think about guitar stuff and gear and tones and whatever. Toby, I'm extremely grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Not only because you're an amazing guitar player and you've played for such great bands and did this thing for like 20 years or so, but
yes, even longer, but nobody knows.
Well, we'll tell them in a bit.
Okay.
Well, the reason why I'm extremely excited, to be honest, is that we have a little backstory.
Yes, we have.
which is that you used to play in a band called Orden Ogan.
Yes.
Or as I sometimes like to pretend, Orden Ogan. When I'm in my American mode. Which used to be one of my favorite bands. It still is. I mean, there are some of the older records that they're amongst my favorites, and I'm 28 years old. So 10, 12 years before, when I was still going to school and learning how to play guitar and all of that, I remember to have spent hours and hours and hours listening to your solos, trying to figure them out by ear because I didn't find any tabs in the internet. And trying to copy your playing style, your licks, still not until today. As we did the track yesterday, I felt that you have quite a big influence on my playing that just stuck with me. I mean, remember the breakdown where I was doing the same pentatonic kind of thing?
This is like me. Yeah, I'm always doing the same pentatonic thing too. Yes.
Well, so you're not only a guest on my show, you're not only a fellow Blue Guitar artist, but you are a big inspiration for me, and it feels unreal to be playing the same kind of amps, to be playing the same guitar brand, and to talk to you on kind of the same level, like both of us being like professional musicians doing kind of the same things. So this feels unreal. It's like there are days in my life where everything feels like extremely difficult with being in the music industry and trying to make a living off that, and then there are days like today where my 15 years old me, which is still living inside here, is climbing up the walls because it's so excited. So thank you for taking the time, and let's go. Let's have a great evening.
Thank you very, very much.
There are so many things I want to talk about with you tonight. And I mentioned Orden Ogan before, and I think this is a big part of your career and you being you're just your personality as a musician, isn't it? So would you mind talking a little bit about this?
Okay, where shall I start? At the beginning?
Well, that may be interesting because I bought what was the DVD called? The live DVD, the box set.
The Book of Ogan. The Book of
that one.
Yes.
So most knowledge about the early days I have from this, but it has been a couple of days that I watched it. So let's get our watches synchronized. Let's start. So when did you join the band? How did everything come together?
I joined the band in 2005. If I remember correctly. And I was with the band for 15 years. And then we split up in 2020. Before Orden Ogan, I had even a band that was called Duke, which was with the singer from Scanner, maybe some guys, the German band Scanner. And he sang on 2 albums of Scanner. And then we met because a friend of mine introduced me to him, and I recorded 1 record with Scanner in 2003. Then Duke just split up. There was no chance for Duke. Sadly, the musical landscape was just changing, and nothing happened. And because Orden Ogan, I saw Orden Ogan in, I think it was around 2000. When I already was in Duke, I saw Orden Ogan in a small club around my town, in the area of my town, and I thought they were pretty good back then. And even Niels, a very good friend of mine, the keyboarder back in the day, wasn't in the band, so it was just a totally prototype of Orden Ogan. They had a flute player, they had yes, of course, the keyboard player, the GNU, the drummer, was already in the band. They had a different guitar player, even another guitar player they had on the first record, Testimonium AD. So it was just baby Orden Ogan.
Baby Ogan.
Yes, baby Ogan. And yes, then the year 2005 came. I joined the band. We played a lot of gigs, and we started working on the record, which became Veil later in 2008. We played a lot of shows for Veil. Then we started working on Eastern Hope, and with Eastern Hope there came more gigs, and I can say better gigs, maybe bigger gigs. We played Wacken. We had a special guest, Mike Moti from Running Wild back in the day, and that was a big thing for Zeep and me, because you talked about your 15-year-old guy in you. That was the same with us. So we were just big Running Wild and whatever fans. And that was
I think there's still videos on YouTube, like vlogs where you were driving to meet Mike, right? And then you made the like harmonized guitar solo part of the pirate song. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, we are pirates. Yes,
we are pirates. Yeah.
We visited Mike. You can watch the whole journey. Not the whole journey, but the important.
The best parts.
Yes.
Well, maybe the worst parts, actually.
Yes. There's a director's cut floating around. It's about 15 hours, I think. If you can live through the director's cut, no, I won't tell you what happened then. No, there's no director's cut. So yes, and we visited Mike. We had a lot of fun. Recorded the solo. We wrote the solo at his home. And we were very proud to have him as a special guest on the Wacken show we did back then. It was our first Wacken show and the biggest show we did to this point. And then the journey went on, so to say. Some people left around this time, so we became a 4-piece. Niels left, so we had no keyboards anymore, just on the records. But not on stage, so just 4-piece band. And we became a little bit more straight, I think, or straighter. We talked about this before. Veil and Eastern Hope were a little bit more proggy. So and
yeah, they play a little more like playful.
Yes, yeah,
like,
not real prog.
It feels like a bunch of like good musicians coming together making good music.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, no,
but it was just us. So
well, and then in 2011 we got To the End, which apparently is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Orden Ogan album. So
yes.
So that was the next chapter. What about that?
Definitely, it was even the next step. You could really feel this. We made I think 3 videos or 2 videos for this record, and also the videos were just the next level. So you really could feel there was something happening with the band and around the band, and a lot more people were just recognizing us and remembering us. And the year before with Eastern Hope, we toured with Grave Digger, just to not forget this. So there came the connection with me and Chris and the Grave Digger guys. So I know them since then. And we met. We always met over the years on festivals and whatever. And
didn't Chris even have like a guest appearance on Ravenhead on a song on vocals?
Not that I remember.
Not that I remember. Okay, well, someone else then.
Well, we have to check this.
Oh, I think it was a Majesty. To be honest, I'm confusing there something. Well, you had.
I am the old guy.
No. Here at the end of the world. This is Chris, isn't it?
Oh yes. Well, I knew this. I just wanted to test you.
Yeah, well, so I'm not confusing it. Maybe he even did have a guest appearance on Majesty as well. I don't remember, but yeah, here at the end of the world, I remember that. You know, there's suddenly I was hearing the album in 2015 whenever it came out, and then there was this rough voice speaking. There was like, well, there's no way that Zape's gonna do that. So that was Chris 10 years ago.
Yes, amazing. I totally forgot this.
well, you may have one of the biggest fanboys of your career here sitting right in front of you. So I can correct you if you're wrong about some of the details and dates.
Yes,
I'm here to help.
Thank you very much. There are days I need more help, so I call you then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, and yes, we toured intensely with To the End. We played festivals and we played with Rhapsody. One version of Rhapsody. There are just a few versions floating around right now, and then after this,
it's like iPhones. Like every year there's a new Rhapsody, isn't there?
Yes. Rhapsody, I don't know. Rhapsody, yes, but very nice. They are just, it's a good band, but I lost track just. And yeah, then after this, Ravenhead, we recorded Ravenhead, and there was again the next step. And I think Ravenhead was just our first meeting in Bremen, if I remember right.
Yeah, yes. It's so cool that you remember this.
Yes, of course, because I think it was after the show. We just when we it was the first gig. No, did we play with Hammerfall back then? We supported Hammerfall, and we just
was either Hammerfall or Powerwolf. Well, I think it was Hammerfall. Yeah, in Bremen.
I think it was Hammerfall. And it was the first show of the tour. We supported Hammerfall, and we just were running around in the club after the show, and you ran into me, and we talked. I remember.
Yeah, so that was 2015. I was like 18 years old.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, and this is something, and I mean, it's just a great thing about you, Toby. I do sound like a fanboy. I am a little fanboy, so don't judge people. But listen, I've played in Majesty for 10 years. I play with a couple of rappers that do have a couple of millions of monthly listeners and things like this. So I know a little bit, like not as much as other people, but I know how it is to be like on a stage and to have like fans, not of maybe of yourself, but of the band you're playing with or the act that you're playing with, right? So after the gigs, people, they want to make photos, want to get autographs, things like that. And this can be extremely annoying. But there's this was such an inspiring moment. I never forget that throughout my still like short career, that in 2015, there was a guitar player of a band that is hugely successful. That's climbing up the hill right now. And he took the time to, and we did have a big chat. It's not like 2 minutes. We did talk there for like half an hour or something. We're talking about guitars. And I about licks, and I asked you how to play certain stuff, and if you were using wah-wah on solos and things like, we talked about so much stuff there. And this is something that that just stuck with me, and that will always stuck with me. Like there are certain parts you remember in life, right? So certain things that really shape you, the way you are, the kind of person you're becoming, and there's like, trust me, there are a lot of moments where I remember back to this, being 18 years old, waiting in front of the club, seeing you, and then getting respected by you, not treated like just some fan or some guy that you'll forget about, but like being respected by you. And then a couple of years later, apparently we did met on festivals and stuff like that when I was playing in Majesty, and when you were playing at the same festival. So and you didn't treat me any other way. It wouldn't have mattered to you if I was still that guy going to school and trying to play guitar, or playing a Majesty. But apparently, if I would play Metallica, it would be the same kind of person to me. And this is such a great thing. It's very rare nowadays, man. It's very rare.
I don't know, but I think, but I couldn't treat people just different. And I remember that we met on the next tour when we played in Bremen, and you were again, of course, in the audience, and I think we talked. I'm not sure, but it was I think it was our first headline show, our headline tour, and things changed a bit. We could just have another schedule then when you're a headliner, and but we just talked from time to time about via Messenger or whatever, and we wrote and
exactly.
talked a bit. And I always felt that you take the stuff serious. So there was the spark when we met when you were 18 was already there, and just because we just talked in from time to time, I could see how you evolve in your career. So that was awesome. And now we talk here, and that's awesome too. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, ask me, my friend. This is I have the smile that you have on stage, like literally from the first second to the last. Like, can you tell me a little bit about this? This is someone that literally everyone I talk to, or when he's seeing a video of you playing live, like you're smiling all the time.
Yeah. It's pain.
Why?
I smile because of pain.
Well, it's a muscular dysfunction, right? That keeps your mouth like as soon as you're using both hands at the same time.
Yes, I can't control my face anymore. It just happens.
I mean, I guess the cheesy answer would be that you love playing music so much still after all these years. Is that everything it is? Is that the answer, or is there anything more to it?
I just, if you're stressed, just seconds before you go on stage, that's the moment when some people talk about getting in the zone, and this is just how I would describe the zone. You just stand the seconds before you go on stage and start playing. The intro is just rolling, something happens, and this is the moment that makes me happy. Play for the people and just making music, and making loud music is important too. It's just still awesome, and just a lot of fun. And of course, if you love the music you play and enjoy playing it with the guys in the band, it's just a bonus, a big bonus.
Yeah.
All this together just makes me happy. And the pain, of course.
Same with me. It's like I'm not making a secret. I also play a lot of music that typically I didn't listen to when I was younger, that I wasn't originally inspired by, but I do it because my career just developed in this kind of thing. And still, doesn't matter the music if I really love what I'm doing, or if it's a song that maybe I do like, but it's more like a work, like a job kind of thing, right? Still, being on stage is always fun. That's for sure. But I think like many people tell me that I look very serious on stage. I generally look very serious though, so this certainly may contribute to this. But my head, it's like I'm overthinking. I'm using in-ears all the time, and like the sweep section is coming, didn't practice it enough, and is it gonna be sloppy and things. So I'm constantly thinking about about trying to kind of nail it, and the same way I'm afraid that I will not nail it tonight.
So that's why I gave up sweeping. I just had to think too much about this. I'm just kidding. I think Grave Digger is the wrong band to sweep, if I can say so. Maybe.
Yeah, likely. Yeah.
Maybe, yes. Yeah, but I think we lost track of the Orden Ogan thing.
Yeah, let's go back to 2015. Just one thing I want to add, if you allow me to. When we met the next time in Bremen, when you were headlining, right? Victor Smolsky was opening, or it was the special guest with Almanac. Remember that?
I'm not. Yes, you're right. It was our first headline tour, and we had Almanac, a special guest, and Manimal from Sweden, which is an amazing power metal band, I think, with a great singer, great songs. It was just like Judas Priest style, Painkiller era, and I never heard them before, and I really liked them. Yes, this was the three band package.
Yeah, that was a great package. And I remember, you were headlining, as you said, schedule everything a little bit different. So this time, I remember to be on guest list because you wrote a message to you and you put me on there or something like this. So after the gig, we would hang out behind the club. in front of the nightliner and just hanging out, drinking a little bit, talking, and this was the time where I showed you like my videos of me covering Dream Theater solos and things like this, and you were so patiently listening to me and giving feedback and motivating, like, oh, this is great, you're such a good guitar player. And I was still like 19 or maybe 20, so I was really young, and something I also not forget. So.
I remember just hanging around at the bus right now, as you now that we talk about this. Yes, we have to come back to Brain maybe then with Grave Digger. We see what happens.
Let's see. This time we're gonna hang out here, man, and have a nice evening after the gig or whatever. Well, so you did the first headliner tour, which was, I think, very successful. I remember it was midweek, like Wednesday, and there were like 300, 400, 500 people. So it was quite packed. And it was in the middle of the week. So this is when things really took off, didn't it, with Ravenhead?
Yes. With every record we did back then, you could just feel like there's something more happening. And what really was helpful, I think, back in the day was the quality of the videos we did. It was a lot of pain to do these videos. Maybe there comes the pain smile from.
That's why you're smiling, yeah.
Yes. I remember the pain from the video shoots, and I smiled it away. I have no idea, just talking nonsense. But the videos we did were very, very well crafted, and I think they helped a lot. And I think it was back then it was a better landscape for high quality videos.
Was a lot of Fever. Wow.
Yes.
Such a great production.
Fever in the Mud. Yeah. The most painful, annoying video I ever did. And I'm sure every guy in the band and from the video crew will tell you the same thing. I don't think there was just one guy who will tell you, oh, this was awesome. Just to crawl in the mud the whole day and whatever. That was really not so funny, but great video in the end.
I think it was worth it. How was it like shooting? Was it Land of the Dead from To the End? Am I confused? I think Land of the Dead had a video, didn't it? From To the End.
Land of the Dead had the video, yes.
And it wasn't in the office with all like the documents in your face and stuff like that. This must also have been funny.
At the moment it was funny, but we had to clean the mess up, and that was not so funny. It was an old huge building, office building, whatever, and everything was empty. I don't know how the director found this place, but he just did it. He has just a good nose to find those places. He knows just how to find those places, and we just ruined the whole place. I don't remember if we just closed the door and just left everything there, but I think we had to clean it up. But we just would have loved to just close the door and leave everything there.
I can imagine. These are the moments in a musician's career where, like, what the f*** am I doing here?
Yes.
I'm getting annihilated by paperwork.
Yes, this will be a video. I'm not sure about this. but it worked. Yes, yeah, nice video. Yes,
Certainly. And you're smiling as well there, I think. So
in the
true
video,
Toby signature.
no, not in the video. No. In this video, I didn't smile. I don't think so.
So this is a rule. This is a Toby rule. Smile live,
Yes.
but not in the videos.
Don't smile in the videos.
Great.
Yes.
So that was Ravenhead. You did the headliner thing. You did the live album as well, which I think also went quite well, didn't it? The DVD.
Oh yes, we did the DVD. You're right. Yes, we did as a bonus for the regular albums. We did also a DVD for the To the End record, I think, and we did a bonus DVD for Ravenhead. I think we just shoot some festival shows back then. I don't remember.
I'm talking about the Book of Ogan. The was towards the end of the album cycle, wasn't it?
Right. Yes, I remember we did interviews for the DVD here and there, and we asked friends of the band and former band members, and I think it turned out really, really well. Zape did a great job on the DVD, and I think it was really interesting to watch this and relive this, and and the bonus stuff and the DVDs, and we just included the Testimonium record album, the first self-produced and self-released one, which became kind of rare. We just put it as a bonus to the DVD package, and I think it was a great package for the fans back then. Yeah.
Well, I was a fan back then. I still am one, but I was even more of a fan back then, and it was certainly a good service. So it's approved. Everything you say is approved.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And what happened then? Gunman, I think. Gunman happened.
It's almost right. Like you're looking at me and want me to tell you if it's right.
Yes.
But yeah, 2017 Gunman. I remember to have heard the song. I had my first own apartment. I went out of my parents' space. I heard the song in that apartment. And it does have an epic beginning, doesn't it? An epic video as well.
Yes, we had always the idea of what can we do better or more when we think about the next record or give it a certain theme or whatever, like Iron Maiden did. They always had themed covers. So they had the Power Slave with the Egyptian style, and they had the Summer in Time with the more futuristic style, and so on and so on. And we thought about doing something similar. And Gunman was our Wild West record in some kind of way. There are certain songs that have themes that remind you of Wild West or whatever. And of course, the Gunman song has a Wild West theme. And back in the day, we played 70,000 Tons for the first time. And two of us had the chance to stay a little bit longer. And it's no AI or whatever. This is the real place there. So they went there and shot part of the videos. And I think this also turned out great, and we shot the rest of the video in Fort Fun, in the Sauerland, or what do you say?
In the Sauerland. Yeah, the home of our dear Chancellor.
Yes.
Let's not get into this.
No. No politics.
Not today. That's what we're gonna do off camera. The video, it was certainly epic production again, and you had these effects on the eyes and things like this. So this seemed to be again a step up. Great photos, by the way. I think didn't the guy from Bremen do those photos? Andy, who was playing in Dystopolis.
Yes, you're right. He came to Fort Fun too, and he took the pictures, the photos, and we had the same video crew we had for all the videos we did before. And funny enough, we just have the same video guy for the Grave Digger stuff. He's just so big in the video shooting game, whatever. And so I know him for a long time too, and he makes so many videos for so many bands. And I think he kind of started with us back then with the Things We Believe In video. We did, that was the first video we did with Rainer, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he did some videos before, for sure, but that was, I think, also for him the next step, like for us too. So
yeah. So, and this also kind of, I don't know if there were music videos before To the End, but this is like the first video I'd think about is the Things to Believe. I think Zeb played bass there for some reason.
I have no explanation for this. I think it was just for the look. You know, Niels and me, we had the same guitar. And that was an old Ibanez model called the Glaive. I don't know if some, yes, everybody will look if I say the Glaive, will look like this. It was just the X period they did back then. They tried out some metal shaped guitars, and I still got my old ciphers from those days. And yeah, they did some metal axes, and they put out the X series, and the Glaive was just one of those models. And I think it was just for the look, if I remember right. So there was no bass playing Zeb.
Well, just it's all like the show must go on, right? It's everything for people.
Yes. Yeah, it's like this. But we did videos for Veil. We did Lord of the Flies. So
true. Yeah, that was wasn't there a movie corporation thing even going on there, right?
We had a comic book included for the Veil. Yeah. Yes, for the Veil record. So the story of Veil, which was the mascots we put on every cover, had his own story, and the story or the beginning of the story was explained in this comic book, which I think is also rare right now. Maybe I have just one book flying around somewhere, but it was just included in a just very small amount of copies.
Yeah, so I do have some of the limited stuff. I have the Ravenhead of Ravenhead. And apparently my daughter broke it last year. We were just moving places. It was in some of the boxes, and she goes, I did something to it. So that's about it. All right, so we then had Gunman, and we're kind of coming closer to the end of your shared path on Orden Ogan. So on Gunman, you did some touring as well, which also you were a part of, and also did some DVD shooting and stuff like that. Where I still remember having you a big smile on the video still. So what was happening in this touring cycle from Gunman?
Like you said, Gunman was released in 2017, and we toured quite extensively. Again, we like always, we played a lot of festivals, and we did our second headliner tour. I think this time with Unleash the Archers, which are becoming bigger and bigger themselves.
Yeah, great band from Canada.
Great band, definitely. And I think it was one of the first tours they did here, but I'm not sure. I think they were just kind of unknown back then, and
I knew them.
Sorry?
I knew them because I found them in the internet, and it's like, this, I think they do a little bit different music nowadays, but like they had a touch of speed metal in there, which I always very much liked. Yeah.
Yes.
So did that? Did they also do some more support tours in that album cycle, or was it about the time where you mostly did headliner stuff?
I just remember the headline tour we did, and we just played a lot of festivals, really a lot of festivals. True. And we did the Pirate Cruise we did for the first time in 2019, which is just a cruise ship floating around in the Sauerland. And we played this special show on this boat, and we did this was my last show. We played in Fort Fun, where we shot the video for Gunman. Yes.
Oh, that was your last show where the DVD was produced. Wow. Yes. Okay. Wow,
right?
such a special thing.
Yes, yes, kind of special.
Kind of
some,
special.
for some reasons special. Yes, and this was my last show. And then in the beginning, just shortly before Corona, we split, and then everybody had just the break. Not only just me, everything broke down. Corona happened. The next record was released, but nothing happened to a certain time when touring was just possible again. So there was no tour, and that was my time with Orden Ogan.
Wow. So 15 years of history summed up in 50 minutes. Guys, welcome back to my studio. Everyone who knows a little bit about Blue Guitar would now likely think that the tone I just had whilst I was playing this guitar solo comes from the AMP1 Iridium. I want to show you something. It is off. So this is not the AMP1 Iridium, but it's still a Blue Guitar product, which is called the AMP1 Mercury. I was promising that I will talk a little bit about the tone I had in the beginning of the track that we did, Toby and I did, for the stream. I'm still amazed that a vintagey kind of amp can produce such a tone. So let me tell you just a little bit about the reasons why I use the AMP1 Mercury still a lot, and actually how it got me back into playing analog amps. So I'm coming from a very, very similar place where Toby is coming from professionally, meaning that I've played in a metal band for the most part of my professional career called Majesty. Also, very, 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 very similar story. We broke up shortly after COVID, and was a great time, playing big festivals, tours, and all of that. For the majority of my career there, I was using digital amplifiers. So that was just the easiest at the time being, right? You just plug and play and all of that. And back in the days where I started out with a band, the digital stuff was kind of newer. People weren't used to this kind of stuff. So analog amps were still around, I was using some more or less budget products, and they kind of worked, but I was never ever pleased with the sound. So I always had this love still for analog amps, which I own a couple of, right? Being back in the studio, being back at home now, I would instantly plug into such a thing and then be happy. Now, I think it was in 2019 or 2019. I was at a guitar summit working for Ibanez, my favorite brand of guitars that I still endorse to this day. Proud endorser of Ibanez. All the guitars you see here right now are Ibanez guitars, except for this one. This is a Les Paul. But anyway, I was on Guitar Summit, and then I was walking by the Blue Guitar booth, right, checking the amps out and everything. Guitar Summit is kind of a silent trade show, so and there was kind of a big row. So I knew the band didn't really spend too much time there anyway. So a couple of years later, eventually a good friend of mine called Richard, was working at Blue Guitar, right? So someone, Thomas, everyone on the team knows, values, really loves, great human being. Greetings to Rich. Anyway, and he introduced me to Blue Guitar properly. So he would send over some amps and would test them and all of that. And this is when I fell in love with it. And now here comes the thing. I was so into digital stuff back then that, just playing an amp didn't really satisfy me. Not because the tones weren't great, but I wanted to mess around with stuff. I wanted to get really back into this. And, the amp is just half of the truth when it comes to analog tones. So what I would do is I was buying a couple of pedals, messing around with them. I was working at a company called Tonepedia at the time. Great company, great thing that they offer. It was interactive pedal demos mostly, what we did there. So I had access to a lot of pedals, and therefore, I was using the Amp1 Mercury edition, which I also had at home to test, right? As like the way I thought back then was, this is kind of more of a vintage amp, so the clean channel has lots of headrooms and it takes pedals really well. And I did a setup back then and I kind of stuck to it. So right now I'm playing the Amp1 Mercury. It's not in the camera, but it's just on the clean settle. The equalizer settings are quite neutral, so everything is around 12 o'clock, and this is just a clean tone here with this guitar. Right, this guitar loaded with Fishman pickups. We also have like a kind of passive voicing. Right, so it's a very standard clean tone. There's no effects, nothing on there. Right now, the first pedal that I'm using is called the Rumble Seat, which is made by Analog Alien, and it's far from being a high gain pedal. So it's gained, gain is on max, and this is how it sounds then. Right, so this is more of like an AC/DC-ish tone that you can achieve with a ZZ Top, kind of that kind of stuff. We're going to go in a passive mode on the guitar here and see how it sounds then. From the tones that I usually use to play. Great practicing tone. I use this one a lot for practicing. It's very unforgiving, right? So if I'm working on my picking chops and all, well, you hear all the flaws and everything. So this is a great tone for practicing. This is also a great tone for more or less like vintagey stuff. Things like that work just great on this amplifier, so and with this pedal, tones for days. Now, what happens if I put in another pedal and go in the active mode? That's the interesting part now, and this is the tone that it's my working tone for like all the lead guitar stuff, which requires kind of a high gainish tone. So there's another pedal. I'll show you all the stuff in a second. Don't be worried, right? It's called the Tube Dreamer. It's kind of a Tube Dreamer style pedal, and once I kick it in, this is how it sounds. this is just pure analog tone goodness, and this setup, this is the setup that got me back into analog gear, which I still use today. So this is my kind of my go-to tone. I mean, you can use it for riffage as well, for metal styles. You know, it's not the most chunkiest tone. When it comes to the leads, this feels great, incredible tone, and I'm super happy with it. Now, I promised you that I'll show you a more detailed view on how this tone comes together, and what I did to do so is I recorded a video which I will show right now where I'm going through the tone, right? After that, we're going back to the interview with Toby, and when we come back here to the live situation, I'll plug back into the AMP1 Iridium, the metal amp, and then we'll try to imitate what Toby did on well, his Grave Digger kind of live settings, right? So that was Mercury. We'll go to Iridium in like half an hour or so. Now, I showed you the video where I'm explaining how I achieved this kind of tone with the AMP1 Mercury and all the pedals and the settings and everything. You'll see everything I do here, all the magic, and afterwards we go into the stream. Now, there was a little error with the software before I started the stream, so it may be that it takes a little time, a couple of seconds, for me to start the video. So don't be confused. The video will start very, very, very soon. All right. All right. Enjoy the video. Enjoy the next part of the interview, and I'll see you in half an hour or so. Hi everyone, this is Emanuel here in the studio right now, producing the sound for the song I did with Toby. Hi everyone, this is Emanuel here in the studio right now, producing the sound for the song I did with Toby. And in the playthrough video, you see that the AMP1 Iridium is turned off, which happens rarely when I do something for the live stream. However, there's another machine here on my desk which is turned on. This guy over here, it's the AMP1 Mercury edition, which, you know, I tend to say sometimes that I use it quite a lot, which is certainly true. So right now we have the DAW opened, and you see DI tracks, right? So these blue tracks here, those are DI tracks, which I recorded straight into the interface. I route my interface in a way that here on one of the output channels, we're going into this little guy over here, which is a reamp box, quite a useful tool to have. And then we're having an output here. So imagine this to replace your guitar. It is taking the DI track from the interface. Let's go into this one. This is then the replacement for the guitar. Output is going down here to my pedal board. The first pedal I have is the Analog Alien Rumble Seat. I think those are handmade pedal from New York. A great sounding pedal. It's like kind of a Marshall in the box kind of pedal, I believe. Usually, I wouldn't go for a straight Marshall kind of tone, but there's, you know, some Marshalls like JCM 800, which are just legendary for metal guitar lead tones. So I feel that this does replicate to a certain level, while it's not as bitey as the original, which I really, really like in the positive, most positive of ways. And before that, I have the Jam Tube Dreamer, which obviously is a kind of tube screamer. This one, oh, let's go for the settings here. So output quite low, because don't want to get too hot when I record. Then we got the tone knob, you know, a little bit above midways, like 1 o'clock or so, and then gain, you know, all the way up, because this is kind of a low gain, medium gain kind of pedal. And we're boosting that with the tube screamer, which I just mentioned. So this tube screamer kind of pedal, level all the way up. Then we got the tone knob, which then is also quite all the way up. Whatever that is, I usually prefer a little lower. And then we have the gain knob here, which is, you know, not too high, so it's like somewhere around 10 o'clock or so. It has a clipping mode, which can activate by the plus. So it's right now in this very clipping mode. The rest is not activated. The rest I have on my pedal board here. This is just the volume pedal. This is the jumpy to signal pedal, which does not anything to the sound right now. Yeah, so we're going into this setup, and then, you know, the last pedal in the chain is the rumble seat, which is then connected to Amp1 Mercury. It's in clean channel, and you know, EQ settings is 6 on bass. We got middle on 5 and then treble on 5 as well. Quite low in the master. We've got such a loud amplifier. And here we go. Let me press the record button, and let's hear how this sounds. I can promise you it sounds really good. Was the first bit of lead guitar, right? So yeah, there are some, you know, the rest is like MIDI tracks and lead guitars and everything that came from Toby. So right now only the blue ones are my solo guitars. So let me speed up the rest. We get to the second part. Here we go. Yeah, that was the second lead part, and then there's another one at the end of the song. We'll skip to that. The recording, right? That's what it did. I usually add reverb and delay and some EQing in post, but this is just the raw guitar tone. Yeah, and you know, I keep saying this amp is a great platform for pedals as well. You know, I used to go very simple ways with like digital stuff and everything until I got back to analog gear with this very amplifier, to be honest. Right, of the Iridium, use it a lot for metal stuff, but if I would just practice guitar, noodle around, you know, record some demos, whatever, this is the device that's always on my desk. That's why I usually don't see it in the videos. And, you know, it has been heavily used, right? You can see it here, lots of scratches and stuff. Yeah, so it takes pedals incredibly well. This is not exactly a high gain setup, like clean channel, and then, you know, rumble seat and a jam tube screamer, right? But I really feel that, you know, this is the lead sound I'm looking for, achieving it with just these very simple devices here. So tone for ages, lots of fun to work with. Let's go on with the stream. Having recorded so many albums with Orden Ogan, is there something that that you is there some insight you can give us on the process of composing, recording, doing lead guitars? Because one of the things that I really liked Orden Ogan for was having like very greatly composed and produced solos, so with harmonies on top of it, and like with sometimes use of effects. You know, I think like, for example, the Ice King, right? A solo where you do the kind of harmonics with a Floyd, right? And you know, just these playful things that you did with lead guitars. I mean, this is not something that I now remember, I now think of like sitting here and being like, I'm going to play one note with a Floyd and then harmonize it 4 times and it's going to sound great. So how does all of this creative goodness come together?
Insanity. Total creative insanity. It just happens maybe.
So the same place where the smile is coming from then.
Yes, always the insanity. It's just, we had a good work relationship, I think. And it was always fun making those records, and we worked together and thought about how can we top this, and sometimes make it a bit more hilarious in kind of not hilarious way, but just can we top this and put on this note also a fifth or whatever, could this work? And we just tried it out. You have to try things out, just not say no, just right from the beginning. You can always delete stuff, but try it out. And if you like it, maybe 2 days after you recorded it and revisit it, and you still like it and think, oh, this is awesome, and maybe let's find out how it fits in the mix or whatever. But just try it out and record also hilarious stuff. And I think this topic you talked about was just in the middle of the night. We were tired like hell, and just something is missing. Maybe we should just put another note on this note, and let's see how this works. Yeah. Well, and we really worked on small spots and put a lot of effort in stuff you don't hear immediately. You just have to revisit it and rehear it, and then you notice those small little details. There are a lot of details in those records.
There certainly are, and I may not hear all of them, but I think I hear a lot of them. And this is, as I said, something that really made me get in love with Orden Ogan stuff, right? Yes. So you are encouraging guitarists to be brave and to try hilarious stuff, to record it, to delete it, to just do whatever you feel like, basically.
Definitely. Right? I think the record, if you got such monumental music like Orden Ogan or whatever, the record is always a different thing than the live situation.
Yeah,
you can put many stuff and many layers into the music and just try things out. And if you don't like another layer, you can just throw it away and leave whatever you want on the record. And but like I said, those small details often happen. They just happen somehow. And put hilarious stuff on records, definitely, yes.
This is like, I can certainly see me going on a demonstration next week and be like, put hilarious stuff on your records. This is certainly a slogan I'd like to promote.
I join you.
Yeah. All right. That's really cool, and this is something you're addressing there. I think a lot of guitar players have that. Now, you're practicing your instrument. Obviously, you're getting better. No wrong being humble or whatever. If you practice over the years, you're becoming old and stuff, you get better. You'll reach a plateau eventually at some point, but the better you get, the more you know about harmonies, about scales, about techniques, and all of that, right? I felt the more I stuck to these patterns, to these shapes, to a level where, for example, a couple of years back, it really didn't feel like when there was COVID going on. I mean, COVID, like crazy time, you were in torn off, then suddenly you're at home and don't know what to do and stuff like this. So that was a very hard time for me in the beginning to kind of, so what I was doing back then, I would, make photos of my favorite guitar players, like this is Jeff Loomis and this is Yngwie, and categorize it and make licks, taps and stuff like that. And making music at a point just felt like, repeating stuff that someone else was doing before. This is part of it. We all play licks that, I like mostly when I was young, I was trying to play your licks, other people's licks. I played them wrong, and these licks became my licks. But
I also play my licks wrong, so no.
So I'm copying your methods then. but you know, this is a very good point. So just try stupid stuff, because this will help you to
Yes.
break out of this whole, like, music is not about rules. Like, there's
No.
keys and tempos and beats and stuff like that. But in the end, you know, who would tell you to not use a note that maybe diatonically you may not use in
Yes.
in this riff, but you know, just be stupid.
Yes. Yes. Maybe sometimes just forget about your musical education you had or whatever, and just think out of the box and follow your feelings, really. And that's what comes with age sometimes. Not that I want to talk like an old fart right now, but there are some things you just don't know when you are younger, you know. Just comes with with age, really. And it is like this. And just learn stuff from people you work with, because you never work alone. And just soak up all those ideas and influences, and just see how they work. Because in all the bands I was, there were so many creative people, and they got all different mindsets or settings, how to work on a song, how to start a song.
Yeah.
And that is so inspiring to just combine all this and try to achieve your own maybe songwriting abilities, or just go there to achieve your abilities. And it's really interesting how all this evolved to this point right now.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth on what you said.
Hopefully.
I mean, well, I mean, there, in that sense, there's no right or wrong in music, right? But
No.
I think many people that do metal kind of music, they have this. When I was younger, you know, I was just I did have a very narrow sight on things. So I was like, there are good bands and there are bad bands. There are good types of music. There are bad types of music. There are good guitar players. There are good licks. There are good techniques. And there are bad guitar players and bad licks and stuff like that. And apparently, you know, when I listen to, like, nowadays, getting a little bit older, I mean, obviously my taste in music did change, right? So besides all my metal heroes like you, like John Petrucci, like these guys, you know, I listen to a lot of, like, more, let's say, well, fusion would be the wrong kind of word, but you kind of get what I mean, right? These kind of guitars that you can't really categorize, like Alex Hutchings, for example, who may know about, or Guthrie Govan, who,
oh yes,
it's hard to beat this guy, and
I would never try.
Insane technically. I try to do some of, like, the tapping stuff with two fingers, and it's doing, like, we have it on the thing we did on the song we did on one leg, but the thing is, the great thing about Guthrie is not that he's an insane shredding guitar guy or whatever. He certainly is, but he can sound off, he can sound wrong, and make it sound right. And it's like, you know, like, sometimes, you know, for example, having, like, to play, like, technically, if you were to play something with alternate picking and you play it just with downstrokes instead, and have wrong timing on it, adds feel, doesn't it? Right? And these are the things that when I was like 15, I was like, you know, I got to practice economy picking. I have to do this and that, and everything has to be smooth and whatever. It's not that way.
Guys like Guthrie Govan, for example, there are so many more guys. But you just mentioned him. I would never try to learn Guthrie Govan licks. Maybe I don't think I'm capable of it, or it would take too long for me, and I would just let it be, because sometimes I'm not that patient. I'm more interested how they think about music, and how they just how they create those scales, and how they understand the music, and how to I don't know, how to achieve mood with the scales and the chords and just their music. And that's interesting, you know, just to understand how they think music, how they understand music, and how they understand what they play about over those chords and whatever. So this is really interesting, and that's, I don't know. I never heard a young Guthrie Govan play. I don't know if he was all the time that on this level, or just, you know, reach this level someday what he has now. So I think there was also an evolution in Guthrie Govan kind of thing.
Most likely, yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Well, very, very good points to make there, right? If you were to play his licks, I start understanding this also with the age that I achieved now. So what I started to understand is if I learn a lick from Alex Hutchings, from someone, I can play a lick that Alex Hutchings did play once. But so I'm gonna be a copy of him. I'm copying him, and I'll never be as good as the original. But if I start understanding how he thinks about music, I can take this little piece of knowledge and add it to the other pieces of knowledge that I have already collected over the years.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and this is how you evolve.
Yes, understand the notes he uses, why he knows, why he uses the notes over certain chords, how he just thinks about his music he creates, and this is even more difficult than just learning licks. This is also difficult, of course. Just put a lot of work in all those hand synchronization, whatever. So don't understand me wrong, but understand the stuff behind all this. This is the interesting part, I think, and that this is also the songwriting part. Then just maybe try to incorporate this in what way. Whatever way you choose, incorporate maybe some things from those people into your music you create here and there.
Oh, wise words. I couldn't agree more. you got the white
all written down here.
it's all scripted. ChatGPT backed us up.
It's from a book I just bought.
Great stuff. All right, we're getting very philosophical here in a way. So let's try and get back a little bit to rock and roll. So one more question about the time in Orden Ogan. So you put out Eastern Hope, Vale, To the End, Ravenhead, Gunman, 5 records with the band. Is that correct?
I think so. If you say so, I believe you.
2008, 2010, 2011, 2015, 2017, I think. Anyway, 15 years, quite a long time. You told us a lot about, like, you know, the evolution and everything. So would you like to let us know a little bit about how songwriting did work? Because I think when I listen to this kind of music, except for the albums where maybe there was a more there was a keyboard player in the band, but they sound very guitar driven. It's guitar players' music to a certain point. Great vocals, great hooks, great melodies and everything, but without some serious riffage, Orden Ogan wouldn't be Orden Ogan. This is what it is. In a way, it is power metal-ish, but it had almost like metalcore-like guitars and these dun 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 like breakdown stuff, which you wouldn't hear in a band like Dragon Force or whatever right back then. So this is what made them special. So can you tell us a little bit about this, like this kind of music? How did you put this together?
I have to give credits to Zeb also, because I think he's a very good rhythm guitar player, and he also plays great melodic solos and stuff, and this has changed a little bit because the music changed a bit. And back in the day, he like many people know, I think he played guitar and sang, and songwriting process in Orden Ogan mostly went like for all your ideas together, make just short demos of your ideas. Doesn't matter which quality, just record it on your phone or whatever, on your cassette recorder, and I don't know where. Yes, we had one
on
session.
your toaster.
If you can make this work, maybe I would be impressed. Write a riff on your toaster.
Oh, you don't know what my toaster is capable of.
Okay. Yeah, and we just went one time. We went through some old cassettes which was also a pain, but some interesting stuff.
Seems like a very painful time. It's all about pain in this band.
It was, but the results were good, I think. So, and we just threw all the ideas together and thought them out, which would fit. And for some records, there was just an idea how they could sound, or it just it shoots the sound during the making. This also happens. Sometimes there was a theme before we started working on the album. The theme for the album came first, and then you could just write songs in the certain mood or whatever. And so there were different ways we approached the work on the albums. There was not just one way. But most likely it started with collecting just short ideas, and sometimes Zeeb had because Zeeb had his own studio and still has his own studio. It was very comfortable to work, and he could just do very good pre-productions, and he prepared demos. He could present us, and we worked on the demos, and so all these things started with for the records. That was the way we started. Yes,
that was the way.
That was the way. Those were the ways.
Well, I got to speed up this part, but it's worth it. So, this is the way, isn't it? This is the way.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like everyone. Well, this is a major fact in Orden Ogan. It consists of basically 3 very good guitar players back then, right? Niels is a very good guitar player.
Yes.
Zeeb is a very good guitar player and a very good songwriter. You are an amazing guitar player anyway.
Thank you.
It was a very collaborative process. At least that's what it sounds like.
Yes. It depends on the record. There was one record, I think I don't remember, where Zeeb was very where he had the demos very worked out, and because it just happened because of the phase in his life, if I remember right, but I don't want to be wrong here right now, and he just had to throw himself into work mode, and he just did it. And there are a lot of contributions from the other guys, but the most part was done by Zeeb. So, but that was not for every record. What was not the same on every record. So it really changed from record to record. We collected ideas, like I said, and we just put them all together. And but we always thought about what would fit, and sometimes more ideas fitted the musical direction, and sometimes it had to go in another musical direction, and sometimes you just find it out when you write the stuff. If you got 3 more mellow songs or whatever, then you most certainly will have a more mellow record. And then you will figure out what is still missing, and maybe you need a more heavier song, whatever, and maybe some guy has an idea for a more heavier song, and so then the other people will come into place again. So there were many ways, just not one certain way we went into records or working on records.
So I can imagine who they would call if they were to look for a heavier song. So which brings me to another topic. So,
Grave Digger.
Well, kind of, yeah. I was now thinking about a very good transition and making things up, and now we are here. Grave Digger.
shove it to the side and just change topic.
So the thing that I wanted to say is, like, as I said, on Ogan, like, big production, orchestral stuff, modern riffage. So there was this very modern element to it all the time. But
Yeah.
when you hear you playing, when someone hears your soloing and stuff like that, I mean, on the riffs, I mean, you cannot obviously you can't hear who contributed what riff. But you being the lead guitar player for 5 records in 15 years, right? Seb also has his solo parts, but the majority of the lead guitar stuff was from your end, and you could really hear that this is a guy who also, honors, the history of guitar playing by having some shred in there, having some old school things there. I mean, you always were into, like, doing double bends and stuff like that at certain points, right? Yeah, I love it. And then, if someone were to follow you a little bit on Facebook or Instagram, you have, like, all the records we can see behind you. So you are a guy who can play a 7-string guitar, who can play something that's down tuned, and who can play, like, the kind of riffs on 210 BPM, but still the other side of your heart is beating for more old school music, isn't it?
Yes, I'm an old guy.
This is not.
No, just kidding. But I have to go back into history, because I just started. I really started listening to metal in the early 90s. That was when I really got serious about with the wish to start playing guitar, and there was all this old school stuff which wasn't that old school back then, which is what is now really old school. If you go back to the 90s, they are just 30 years now back to the 90s, and all the stuff was fresh and new for me, and there were so many great guitar players which sounded interesting in their soloing and in their riffing, and I just sucked this all up. I listened to the stuff, I learned the stuff, and if you are a serious musician or just follow a serious path, of course you evolve in your musical taste, and you just try to include some new ideas, maybe play 7-string stuff or whatever, and on some day you get kind of a style, maybe, if you are lucky. And I'm not I can't play that fast and so many notes like you, and just in this long amount of time. Maybe
I think you can.
Okay. Not today. I was too long in the sun today, and I'm kind of molten. But I try to honor my old heroes, which always played a little bit melodic stuff, and with balls. I like to play with balls. I try to play with balls. Just do all these double stops and shred a little bit for here and there, and just make it, or try to sound it to make it sound interesting. Just to compose a solo. Sometimes it works really well. Sometimes maybe not so. You have to be pleased with your stuff you record, and you have to like it first yourself. And yes, and maybe all those different influences I had all over the years created the style I have. But I have really no receipt, or I don't know how this all came together. It certainly came also from working with all those guys in the bands, because sometimes we work together on solos. If you are stuck, maybe the moments when you're stuck, and you don't know what to play. You just want to play the same lick you played on the last 10 songs or whatever. And this helps sometimes. Maybe watch a video from some guy, or listen to a record you haven't listened in a long time, or just ask somebody, I'm stuck. What can I do here? What do you hear? I just recorded a demo version of the solo, and what do you hear? What can I play there? And I think it's no shame to ask people sometimes what they hear there. This just helps. Yeah.
Well, good you said it. So on the next album I send you all the demos, like, Toby, tell me what to do here. But no, with all seriousness, again, the great things you just said. Something I realized, when I started to hear your music back in the day and your solos and stuff like that, the something I realized is that I actually heard licks and patterns and shapes of guitar players that I kind of like. So, for example, there's like the 7-note Ingvi pattern, like da 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 da, right? Which you did 20 years ago on your record. I
do it always.
I also do it, but when I was like younger and like 16 and I was listening to Ingvi for the first time, I thought this was his lick. I thought, like, yeah, he's the one to use it. And then I started hearing that other players do it. Apparently, you also did it, right? And then again, the pirate song with Mike Moti did, right? There's this there's Paul Gilbert, this kind of pattern on there, right? Which everyone is using. It's the one I use the most when I do picking stuff, because you can do it with like string skipping and crazy stuff. Yes. So and this was such a great thing to see, having your solos and then having quite technical stuff with alternate picking and tapping and whatever, but you still have the balls to just sometimes pull a bend, and you don't need to show this is a problem I had. I wanted to show everyone what I was capable to do, and there was a time where I would just write like "as I am" style solos, lick after lick, putting all that stuff, but with none of the solos you had. I ever had the feeling that this was the point that you're trying to bring across. Look at all the patterns I can play. Look at all the techniques I have, I have here. But it was always like, let me try to make a solo which just makes me smile, makes me happy, and where everything is in there. So
yes,
such a great thing. So you also like the old school side of things, also the old school licks and everything. And this is something that certainly qualifies you to be the guitar player of Grave Digger, which you have been for the last 3 years.
Since the end of 2023.
All right, guys, here we are back live. I'm hoping that everyone is doing great. I certainly am. Show some love in the comments. Let us know how you are, if you have any questions or whatever. Right? Just put them in there. We're trying our best to answer them. We have Thomas here in the chat as well, and Toby is somewhere driving around. But we're making sure that we'll let you know about your questions if you have any questions that go straight to him. Now, I am back, and I did a little thing here which I want to show you guys. So this is again my DAW, which you have maybe used to from other streams as well. And I received a picture of Toby 1 hour prior to the stream. So yeah, wasn't able to put the settings in yet. However, we got the original Tobias AMP1 Iridium live settings. Isn't that cool? The lead guitar player, the guy from Grave Digger, a legendary German metal band, sent me the settings that he uses on a day-to-day basis for his life in Grave Digger. So we have talked about Orden Ogan, we have talked about general advice for recording and playing guitar, practicing and all of that, and we're getting into the Grave Digger topic and another very special topic after my live part here. So we have a third and last final part of the interview ready for you guys to enjoy. But before we do so, let's check out what Toby does on his AMP1 Iridium. So you are seeing the settings here, right? We got the modern channel, which I was a little bit surprised by, but as I tried out the settings, it made total sense, right? We got, volume, everything, and master up to 10. This certainly does influence the sound quite a lot. I can't do it right now because it will blow up my speakers here in the studio for technical reasons. So I have the level appropriate to the input on my audio interface. And then we have bass on 4. We have treble around 5, and then we have, mid somewhere at 3.5, around that. Master, the overall master is somewhere close to 3. And what I did is I replicated these settings with my second camera. Here it is now. Sorry, here we are. So this is my AMP1 Iridium. Now it's actually turned off, other than before. We are on the modern channel, as you can see. Volume slightly slower, as well as the master for the overdrive channel. As I told you, gain is on 8, bass on 4. Yeah, we got mid on, is it 3.5? Yeah, somewhere here, right? And then we're treble around 5. So this should be pretty much what Toby does. I have the boost activated and the custom tone control is midways. Now we're getting back to the DAW here because I want to show you another thing. We are about to find out what Toby does live. He's using a cabinet, mostly Marshall cabinets, because that's kind of the great Grave Digger old school tone. And I did a very similar thing here. So what I have here is a Marshall A style 4x12 cabinet in my IR loader, and the amp is going straight into this. So let's see how it sounds then. I'm using a Fishman load guitar because I know that Toby likes to play Fishmans. However, he's using it in the passive mode sometimes. That's what he told me. So I was in the active mode. Now let's swap to the passive mode. Wasn't very Toby lead guitar playing. That was more Marty Friedman. So I'm not Toby. I love Toby. I'm not Toby, but I'm trying my best to do some old school shredding. So let's see Emanuel Knorr trying to play old school schlicks. Wow, and this is a great setting, I must say. It's certainly vibing with this kind of Marshall style cap, right? So I'm really enjoying it. Let's take the second Marshall cap impulse response I have here. I think this is slightly more MIDI. Whoa, yeah, it is. Let's go back to the A1. That was a little sharper, had a little more bite. So I'd certainly prefer this one, the Marshall A for kind of rhythm guitar stuff. Let's try the other one for leads, though. Maybe this makes sense. tell that I prefer this one because I'm playing better leads with this one. Oh, this is certainly a great tone. And it's on the modern channel, right? We just saw it. It's on the modern channel, but it doesn't sound really modern, to be honest. So this is a great combination. I think this is what it makes. It's the modern channel, which does have, you know, the mid cut and everything, but it's going into a more vintagey cab, which, well, you know, gives some of the old school energy back to it. And this is what makes this sound so good. The thing we can try is to use one of my favorite impulse responses. So I really like this diesel cap here with V30s. How does this one sound? Somewhere in the middle, isn't it? It is crazy. This wasn't planned. This was made up. So that was the Marshall A. We got the Marshall B. One super much bite. The other one's quite mid heavy, and this is like the middle of it. Right, so, well, all of those sound great, but yeah, it's quite interesting to hear these settings. And you know, listening to Grave Digger, obviously the old stuff, but now as Toby is in there being one of my, you know, heroes. I mean, I've obviously listened to the newest album, Bone Collector, which we'll talk about again, and you'll hear some snippets of this album in the final part of the interview, right? But this is pretty. I mean, I can certainly feel that it is similar to what we hear on these records. Great. So, guys, are there any questions? Let me quickly check the chat. There is a lot of stuff going on, people interacting with each other. That is how it is supposed to be. Oh, you're not supposed to see that, however. So, let me switch back to the main camera for me to check the chat. All right. Yeah, Thomas, boomer bendings plus shred. This is the way. That's the way. 100%. All right, let's go for the final part of the interview then, I would say. We're going for part 3 now, which is the final part. We're going to talk about Grave Digger and about a very interesting topic, which is switching back to analog gear, right? So, I mean, analog gear has been around for ages, since the electric guitar started, basically, and digital stuff came afterwards, obviously. So, many people used to play analog stuff because that was the only kind of amplification you would get decades ago, and then switched to digital stuff because, you know, and we're not hating digital stuff. We have it, we use it. We have impulse low boxes as well at Blue Guitar. You know, the AMP1 does have some digital functions. However, the tone still analog. Whatever. So all of these technologies, they certainly have a place in this world. But it's very uncommon, and this is getting me to the point, it's very uncommon for someone to use digital and then go back to analog. And this is a trend that I see a lot, certainly. So I think over the next couple of months, we'll have more guitar players here, right? More guests here on the stream, which will tell the exact same thing. There is a movement that, you know, with great products like the AMP1, which has a lot of the benefits that digital stuff has. So it's very, you know, comfortable to use, it's very easy to use, user friendly. It's lightweight, it's not heavy. You can connect it to your IR loader or whatever, and then you basically have analog tones with digital comfort, right? And these products, they sound great, they sound different, they feel different. This is why people go back to analog stuff. So let's hear Toby's take on this very topic. But there was a thing before that, right? So Chris did a solo project, and this is where you first started making music with him, didn't you?
In 2022, Chris called me. Chris is the singer of Grave Digger, if somebody might not know. He's the singer of Grave Digger. We know each other since 2011, from when we toured together. And like I said already, we just met over the years on festivals and talked, and always came along great. or good. Yes, and I always liked Grave Digger. Back in the day, they were just one of my favorite bands. My first concert I went to, and I told this a lot of people right now, I think, was Running Wild and Grave Digger. So this was really my first concert I went to when I was 15. And so I was a big fan of the band and all the bands in the style. And I learned their riff and whatever. So what I do now is really from the heart, because it's just like mother's milk, you know. I play all the stuff I played back in the day. And we did this Steelhammer project, which was kind of his solo effort. It was planned like his solo effort, but we, of course, worked together on the record. And we noticed that we worked quite good together. And I think this kind of opened the doors to join Grave Digger when they had the guitar player problem, when Axel left or was left to go, I don't know. Yes, and then we talked again, and then I joined. And since then, we are constantly playing gigs, and we put out one record, and really awesome. The guys are great, and I really like the record we did together. It's really like the 15-year-old Toby. It's the record the 15-year-old Toby would like to hear from Grave Digger. Yeah, I can put it this way. So I'm proud of what I'm doing now. I'm also proud of what I did with Orden Ogan, but I'm really proud of what I'm doing now.
I'm so happy for you. I mean, this is
Thank
like,
you.
well, I mean, you know, sometimes in this industry, you know, everyone takes on gigs because we have to fill the fridge for ourselves and our families and whatnot. We gotta pay rent as well. But it's something different if it really triggers your heart, and
Yes.
and it seems to be the case with what you're doing right now.
Of course, you also have to fill the fridge. I think no secrets. You can't play for nothing. So or do this for nothing. But that's kind of the icing on the cake or whatever. I think at first you really have to love what you're doing. You have to join a band you really like. Not everybody has the opportunity, but I think if you love or like guitar playing or playing your instrument in general, also is a great thing. And you can also do other kind of musical styles or whatever. But this right now for me is the perfect case to just play the music I grew up with, you know. Yes, I'm happy I didn't grow up with some kind of, I don't know, what could be the what could be the really bad to grow up
Well,
with.
I don't know. All kinds of music are great, obviously, but Taylor Swift.
Yeah, really bad German musical styles. I think I could have been growing up with. So I had luck.
But yeah, I gotta admit a guilty pleasure right now. I love like Helene Fischer, for example.
Oh.
Wow, great production, great shows, great songwriting. No, well, I can't. I obviously, if they're great Digger fans watching, like, act as if you didn't hear it. But well, let's get back to the topic.
Yes.
So. Inspiring story you told, and as I said, I'm super happy for you. And the sounds like it's we would say Arsch auf Eimer. So it's really the thing that you're supposed to do, isn't it?
Wait a second. What is Eimer in English? I have to check this. I forgot the word. Bucket.
Eimer.
It's as bucket. On bucket for
as
English
on bucket.
Speaking friends.
Great. So we got that sorted. Now, in Grave Digger, I've obviously it's a band I like. It's a band I very much respect. It's a band that I have heard records of. It's not amongst the bands that I put in my top 10 favorite bands, but it's one of the bands if they were playing around, I go to the show. I have 2 or 3 albums here. I know the other guitar player, no Axel, who's also a great guy and did contribute to the history of this band, so yes. Really much respect goes out to him. So certainly a band that also has a big meaning for metal music, right? Because they've been around so long. And nowadays, yeah, right. And nowadays it's like, I mean, I'm relatively young. I feel old and I look old, but I'm relatively young. So I'm aware that it's this kind of a luxurious thing. You pull up YouTube and you can listen to all the music, and everyone has like tabs and tutorials and whatever. And I have so much respect for bands like Grave Digger who did invent like a certain style of riffing and songwriting and all of this when they didn't have it. So it was just the guys with their instruments and their minds, and they were pulling out stuff that, yes. It must be crazy. So how is it for you to play the old songs, and how is it for you to also play songs where I now suppose that you have been part of creating them, from the last album, for example?
I mean, if you play your own stuff, your own songs, your own riff, it's just like, I mean, you created it. So it's you love playing your stuff, but the difficult thing is you have to make it fit the band sound. And this is when then Chris comes in, because he definitely, of course, he knows what fits Grave Digger. And this is so awesome, because working with Chris is just like going into I don't know, old school riffing candy store or whatever. I record some stuff, and sometimes I do a demo, and he just throws it all in a different way. He just says, oh, this riff is better this part and whatever, and we just did a songwriting session a few days ago where all this happened. I made a demo, and he just redid it, and he just put the parts in different places, and now it sounds like Grave Digger. And this is awesome because he definitely has just the feeling what fits Grave Digger.
The devil's serenade, a one-way ticket from hell and back again. The devil's serenade, it's one last symphony of deadly melodies. We'll forever stay in the devil's serenade, the devil's serenade. Into the arenas where the clouds ignite, there is a magic in the air. We set the night alight.
And playing the old stuff, especially the 90s stuff, is I think it's really easy for me, because mind-wise, because I grew up with the stuff. I played some songs back then, and I always liked the guitar tone and how Uwe Lulis played the riff. Grave Digger was always the great riffing band for me. Simple riffing, effective riffing, but great riffing. And this is also difficult to, if you come from a mindset where you want to play more technical, because Orden Ogan was very technical. I mean, I have at times very technical. I came more from the old school direction, but also a bit technical. I would say more technical than Grave Digger, and just go back to really create easy riffs or whatever, or just easy sounding riffs.
Well, like straight riffs, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
is it?
Thank you. Straight riffs. It's really difficult. And
sometimes I also feel like it's way difficult to create a riff that is easy to play, very straightforward, make it sound interesting, and like to have the feeling it is worth to put on an album. But if you can throw all the notes in there, they're like bands like, well, I mean, no bad talk or whatever, but for example, bands like Polyphia, there's so many notes in the riffs, right? That I mean, yeah, it sounds impressive because if you're playing the scale up and down in a certain way. So sometimes I feel like it's extremely challenging to just play three notes or whatever, like Smoke in the Water, and to make it sound
definitely
worth it.
I mean,
isn't it?
Think about just creating the Smoke on the Water riff. You would if you would sit here and play this riff, you wrote this riff right now, it's new. Nowadays, maybe you would never just release this. You would say it's hilarious. I mean, as I said, put hilarious stuff on the record, but it's another kind. It's another kind of hilarious. It's just so simple and so easy to play. You would never ever think about releasing such a riff. Maybe nowadays, I'm daring to say this right now. What I want to say basically is just it's really, really difficult to create simple stuff that is effective, and you have to think about all the arrangement. It has to be heavy, it has to have a drive or whatever, and it shouldn't be boring. So I stumbled across my words.
The smiling is coming again.
Yeah. It has to be interesting. It shouldn't sound boring, and it should be heavy and whatever, and that's really, really difficult. Yeah.
Well, agree 100%. Now, Grave Digger, obviously very different music compared to what you did before, right? Now I've listened to a couple of the new albums, obviously, when they came out, because I was like, Toby, he's on there, so I gotta listen to it and everything. And it was very interesting to hear you, because I only know you're playing from the Orden Ogan days. I don't know about you, Duke, was it, right?
Duke.
Right, and I think like around COVID you had another project where it seemed like a live video with no people and in a club. With another like rock kind of band.
Yeah. Oh, you saw this? Yeah. It's Healer. It's a band from my area. Yeah, we do I think it's 80s inspired hard rock. It's with a guy from Long Distance Calling. It's instrumental post prog whatever. I don't know how they describe their style, but it's very interesting music. No vocals. He's the guitar player from Long Distance Calling, and Niels, back from the Orden Ogan days, plays keyboard. So I love Healer, and I love making music with Healer. We are also working on some stuff, but this was the Healer concert. Yeah, and we are.
Yeah. So obviously I saw that, but this was again like kind of live, so it's all different. Yeah. Now this was the first time where I really heard you playing on a record which is not Orden Ogan, on another kind of music. And I mean, obviously, as I know your style quite good, I'd be able to tell that it was you if I wouldn't know. I'm sure I would be able to tell it was you, because the way you do, like, your vibrato is sometimes quite fast and a frantic vibrato and things. So it's these details that I listen to, right? So some people have like a calm vibrato, and yours is like the more like a little faster and stuff like that. So these would be the details why would be able to tell this is Toby. And I really liked having your lead guitars on a track where there's like not 5 harmonies playing, where it's no edit, where it sounds live. I love the stuff as well. Like this one, maybe get into Orden Ogan, but this shows another side of you. It has your DNA, and well, there are certainly other fans of your playing that have been following you for a couple of days now, and hear that it's still Toby, but it's like a raw Toby, unchained kind of Toby. I really like this. It's very great to hear.
Yes. That is the point with Grave Digger. I think it's just this riffing wise, you have to follow a certain direction, and I think the solo stuff also goes in kind of a certain direction. I can put some of my influences, my style into the soloing, but it has to be more raw and more melodic. Like I said, their sweepings would be just wouldn't fit. No, just and so it's more like some pentatonic stuff and some scales here and there, but more melodic and with more balls. And it was very interesting to work on this stuff that has to fit on this music. So yeah.
Well, that's really just, as I said, very cool, and just to hear another side of you. And wow, I'm stoked to hear more of this. Great. So it's not only the music and the style that has changed slightly with this band, but I think it is also the sound, isn't it? And there is a device that helps you to get the sound that you are getting, which I think Imagine looks close to this one, which I have here on my left.
Yes, mine, Blue is written.
So then it should be similar. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Blue Guitar AMP1 Iridium edition, right? And this is the very device that Toby plays. And a funny story, Mike. I was reaching out to Toby and like, hey, I'm working for Blue Guitar and we're doing a live stream with metal and we want to have a guest, so I'd love to have you on there. You're one of my favorite players and all these things. He's like, yeah, I have this thing here already. I've been using it for years on tour.
Yes, I do. Really?
I was all about, like sending him, like calling the office, sending him an amp and getting him on and everything. He was playing it already. I was I mean, there's so many brands of amplifiers, and you had so many endorsements and people over the years, and half of the world, it feels like, in the German music like landscape, and you were playing this amp. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to play this amp, I suppose, but again, there's a lot of stuff to choose from nowadays. Like, so why are you playing the same amp that I am playing, Toby? Tell us about this.
So not just you and me. I think many people are playing this amp right now.
Well,
and I think all love this amp, because I heard of this amp. I think it was the version before this amp. It was the little bit more mellow version.
The Mercury.
Yes, the Mercury. There's also one version even more mellow, I think. That was the first version.
What is it called? Silver edition or something like this? Maybe?
Maybe, yes. I heard of this edition. I had a colleague at my music school, and I heard some stuff about this, the first AMP1, and he told me he was totally blown away by this amp. And I saw this amp, and I think this is the amp, because I don't know, back in the day when this was new on the market, there weren't so many amps in this format. I think it was kind of new. It was lightweight. It was just really practical. It has a valve in it. And this is awesome, really awesome. And,
how watts?
Sorry?
100 watts, actually,
yes,
right?
It's loud as You know, really, you can blow.
Yeah.
And we played Wacken and more big festivals, and it's loud enough, really loud enough. And I wasn't just maybe in the middle or whatever. And I just there was so much more I could do. Yes, and I heard about this amp from my colleague, and he was really impressed. And then I started searching about this amp, but sadly there was just this first edition, and I don't know, a few years later or shortly after, the Iridium was released.
Yeah, it was.
And I heard some demos, and I just gave it a try because I didn't want to carry my very heavy amps I had back in the day and still have, and I used them for recordings, but I just didn't want to carry them around. And well, like I said, it's so practical. You can put it on your pedal board with your other pedals, and you got everything just set up, put it there, like many guitar players already do, and you're good to go. And it always sounds great. Really, it always sounds great. I'm totally blown away by the sound of this amp, and you just can put it in your bag and fly to whatever gig you play in whatever country you play, and you got always your amp with you. And this amp always works. I have no fuck ups with this amp.
Yeah, it's kind of undestroyable. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I think so. I hope so.
I'm sure you did put it to a test.
Yeah. Yes. But not on purpose.
Yeah. Hopefully so. Right. So yeah. That really sums up what a lot of what I think about the amp, because you know, when I talk to people about this amplifier that I know that don't know about the amplifier, it's like you have your 2 or 3 stories already set and you want to let them know. It's like the thing I always tell them is like, imagine there's an analog amp, but it's so light and small you can just put it on your hand luggage on the cheapest Ryanair flight.
Yes.
And then go somewhere. And I was preparing to tell this story, and you told me the same story. Like, you can even carry it in hand luggage. It's like, well, this is just the kind of people that we really want to work with at Blue Guitar, right? It's not about you know, getting like every single influencer to do stuff from whatever and to make it sound. It's about people like you who just really like the product because of what it is, like not because of any sponsorship or deals or whatever, right? And by the way, this is a good time to announce that Tobias is going to be a Blue Guitar endorser from today on, right?
Thank you very much. So I'm proud to join the family, if I can say so.
Well, yeah, obviously, man, you're part of the family, and you'll be forever, I hope. People like you are the ones that we really want to work with, and it's one thing to send it to someone, and yeah, it's kind of nice, I like it, but whatever, you know. And then there's people who are really about this product and who are really engaging with the product, try to understand it, work with it, have tested it live in the studio, whatever, and this all applies to you. So. This makes me, you know, extremely happy, you know, to just know that you kind of, you know, the amp by heart, and you've put it to test live and everywhere. So just a great aspect of you know, of your history of Blue Guitar. So you did start to play Blue Guitars back in, I
think it was 2020.
2020 already.
Yes, I think 2020. Wow. Yes, I think 2020. I started
5 years. Wow.
Yes. It's there.
So 2020 we had COVID, so there wasn't too much live playing. So and 2022 we started with Steelhammer.
Yes.
And did you use it? Did it use it back then?
Yes. Wow. I recorded the guitars for Steelhammer with the Blue Guitar, and I think every show I did with Grave Digger from the start, I used the Blue Guitar amp. It was on tour, and I recorded stuff with it here because it's so easy to use it for recordings also. You got everything there. you use your Blue Guitar amp, put another device between the amp and your interface, and you're good to go. Yes.
Absolutely. Now, having played it live on so many occasions, like how are you doing it? Obviously, you do have like flight-in shows with Grave Digger as well, right?
Yes.
So do you just use whatever cap they have there, the same amp, different cap, and that usually works for you, right?
Mostly we have Marshall caps because it is on our rider to use or to have Marshall caps. And I know
like a 1960 lead or something like this, I imagine. Yeah. Well,
yes,
okay.
Old school, really old school. But it works and it fits the amp perfectly. I know the settings I like, and so it's just really you put it there and you're ready to go. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'd be interested in, and now like let's do the real talk. Did you have any problems with it, like during touring?
Really, never. That's it. I had never any problems.
Like, nothing, literally nothing.
Nothing. And I really used and abused it a lot in those years I have it, because okay, there was COVID and we didn't play a lot live, but I worked with Healer, for example, and we rehearsed a lot when we could rehearse again, and we played a few shows. So I already started use it there on live gigs, but really intensely, of course, I use it with Grave Digger, and never any problems, even not on the airport on the security check.
So no questions when you had it in hand luggage, no weird smiles.
Maybe they checked shortly, but I just could keep it. So no real problems.
Usually when I go like and I have an interface and whatever, I always need to explain to them what I do. I mean, maybe the beard makes me look like I have bad intentions, but I remember, explaining a lot of like airport staff about music recordings and gear and stuff like that. Whatever. Okay, this sounds great. I mean, so that's a very short point, but I'm very pleased to hear that you did not ever have, because you're playing like huge festivals, you're playing like club shows, you have like clean and dirty stages, outside, inside, everything, right? Don't you? And Grave Digger is this kind of band who are like always having a gig in their calendar that's coming up, right? So it's like very rare that you do a break with Grave Digger, isn't it? Like you play shows all around the clock, likely.
We got this year we got a lot of shows still coming, and for every show I will use my Blue Guitar amp, because I know this amp. I get my sounds from this amp, and I know it's reliable. Nothing happens to this amp. I took it to several countries and everything worked, and I never had this with any other amp. There were always some kind of fuck up, and maybe not always, but I really trust this little machine. It's built like a tank. Even the knobs are still perfect. No knob is scratching or whatever.
The great thing is, like, usually people, like, sometimes people are suspicious and be like, he is an endorser, he got the special amp that they hand built somewhere, and and it's like, you just bought it fair and square for the retail price, didn't you? It was like your Tomanor or whatever, right?
Maybe
anyone.
I don't remember, but for sure, yes. And during COVID, you could just order it. I checked some videos. Important part was my colleague also, because I knew Thomas Luke, of course. I mean, he's around since I don't know when. I hope he remembers since when he's around, but I know he knows for sure. But he's around forever. And my
living
colleague
legend.
Said, yes, definitely. And my colleague said, I trust this guy because he checked some videos, and I think he saw Thomas demoing the first versions of this amp. So don't know where. And he was so convinced about this product, and because he's so much into this, and he put all his knowledge into this amp, and so it was no question to try this out, and it totally impressed me, and love using it and will use it till it just falls together, whatever, breaks apart.
Well, I think the amp will survive both of us because literally, it's unbreakable. So amazing to hear that you're so pleased. Now, the last topic that I want to address for today, because it's late here in Germany and we're not getting younger. Something I'm really interested to hear. Like when you were with Orden Ogan, you did not play analog amps live. You did play something else. We don't need to name it right now, but it's something that was very popular in the 2010s. A device that was a modeling amp kind of thing. And I'd say it kind of like dominated the 2010s. Like everyone was having this device if you didn't use analog amps. So obviously, hugely successful product, and something that is modeling amp. So it tries to be an amp, though it isn't an amp. How does it feel to come back to analog, to a real amp? After all these years, is it more difficult because you gotta it may sound a little bit different with all the different caps, and it may not be as easy to set up or whatever. Is there anything that you miss about using digital amps? Like let's start with this.
No. No, I'm
not. You're supposed to give me a hard time.
I'm not. I have to say. I'm not a digital hater or whatever, because back in the day I absolutely understand and know the benefits from the digital stuff, but it's just, I can just simply say it like this: it's no fun for me, really. Maybe it's because of my age, also because I was just I was infected with amps when I started back then. I just wanted to have a great sounding huge amp on whatever. It's just it's still a joy to turn the knobs on the amp, and you feel the sound coming, and you get in touch with the amp, and that's what I'm missing from digital stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't give me the same feeling, mostly on stage when there's nothing moving. And that's funny, because if you or maybe also important to address, when you say when you see some modern bands and you stay in the front row, there's no sound coming.
Yeah, true.
Yes, and I think that's a problem, because you just have it from the PA, and there's no dirt coming from the stage. So people told me, because I'm not in the first row anymore, but people that go in the first row, they say there's nothing. So where's the sound? And I think really this is also important, that there's some kind of sound coming from the stage and not only from the PA. And it's for the feeling, for yourself. And that's why I think many bands are going the in-between, or having an in-between solution. They got the in-ear stuff, but they also got some dirt, again, coming from the stage. And maybe this is a good mix you can achieve, Just have your in-ear stuff plus some sound coming from the stage to add to the PA stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is something that, you're exactly making a point that Thomas did in the episode we had last time, I believe, where it was cabinet versus impulse response versus load box. And Thomas has this kind of setup where he does have the blue box, which is this little boy over here, which is the machine that Blue Guitar builds to enable you to play without a cabinet if you wish to.
Yes.
So there are a couple of impulse responses, and then you have this mic position knob where you can slightly shape the sound of it. So basically, you go into this goes into the PA, and you have a good sound. This is
Yeah.
what's supposed to be. Very easy to use. No display LEDs or whatever. It's just knobs. So great device. What Thomas does is he's using the cap and he's using it at the same time.
Yes.
So he's kind of getting best of both. Very similar to what you just suggested. Because again, not being like a digital hater. That's really the point, right? Sometimes it makes sense to go digital, in certain cases, and having an impulse response. We may not forget like this particular example. If you have a cabinet in a band like Grave Digger is a big band, so you play professional venues. There are technicians, there are guys who do the microphone placement. You have a sound check, all of this, and still sometimes we are not pleased with how it sounds. Like that sound was shit today. We have that all the time, don't we?
Definitely.
Now, and now think about guys who are starting out, like playing in quite small bands or whatever, right? These are professionally produced and recorded impulse responses, and those have been properly produced. And even if you have a great cabinet, doesn't mean it may sound great live, because there's so many factors like the miking and everything. So this is a very good backup to have. But then you were mentioning the fun point, and it's I tell this all the time, but I hate to use my Iridium with a cabinet because I can't stop playing then. This is like, I don't play the difficult stuff. What I do is like chunk for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I just there's air moving, It's like I'm smiling like Toby in this moment. It's like I'm sitting here like a monkey really, and just enjoying myself.
You're a chunky because you love the chunk.
I'm a chunky. Wow, we don't do Academy of Shred anymore. We do Academy of Chunky. Your life, you're only having the cabinet, and do you have in-ear or anything, or is it just so all your guitar is cabinet and obviously like monitors, right?
Yes. That's it. Total as completely simple, really simple rig. I also just use one cabinet because it's getting too loud then. Really one cabinet. Yeah, it's too loud. I hate it when it's too loud on stage, because then you just at some point you just get white noise. And I really like when just I hear my guitar at a good loud enough level. Of course, it's not quiet, it's loud but not too loud, and you hear the other guys, and it's always a good cleaned up sound for me, I think. Yes, and back in Orden Ogan, just to mention this, we before we used the digital stuff you mentioned, we of course played amps and cabinets, but
there wasn't anything else, was there, in 2008 or whatever?
Yes, it started kind of.
The pot, legendary.
There was a time where we used the pot live.
Oh, wow!
And it worked. It was. I mean, yeah. If you know how to get tones of certain devices, you can make a lot of work.
100% true. Yeah. There was this Vox Voodoo Lab or whatever, like the pedal thing. Kind of.
Yes.
I had a very good lead sound. I remember it wasn't written, but I was able to get a lead sound. I got one on the second hand somewhere for just a couple of bucks, and was trying to get something out of it. But the lead sound was good. Well, anyway, you did use like big old school proper, I don't know, like amps back in the days with those with Orden Ogan, and then you swap to a digital solution. How would you like? Did you ever do in your time in Grave Digger? Did you do like some? Obviously, you fit recordings of your live playing, don't you? Like the Wacken thing and stuff like that. Now, is there anything in particular that you'd say is different about the sound when you can actually hear you not on stage, but when you hear the recorded version of it, compared to back in the day when you used digital stuff?
I like digital stuff, and I know that there are that there are benefits, of course, from digital stuff, but I always would tend to the analog stuff, because there's something in the analog stuff and in the valves and whatever that makes me maybe enjoy it more. And I think you can hear it when you enjoy your stuff you play.
Yeah,
if you're
certainly.
just if you're just on the fence, I mean, I like digital stuff, it sounds good, but if you're not into those stuff or into this stuff with your heart, and you really love playing this, and you get the response from your cabinet and whatever and everything, you just get what you like about this, then there's something missing. And when I hear recordings from us when we play live, and I always hear I hear my sound. I hear what I hear there, I heard when I played it. And that's also a benefit from the Blue Guitar amp, because it always sounds great, and you just get it on the front, and always very pleased with the sound on stage and in the front. And that's also what we hear from the people that go to the shows. They really like the guitar sound, and that makes me proud, of course. But it's not only just me. I can really work with the stuff I got there.
Yeah.
You know? So
Wow.
I get the sound I want to hear perfectly from this little amp.
That's amazing. I mean, again, I'm the host, so I'm trying myself to get a hard time to argue with you, to fight with you. But basically, you're yeah. Well, I'm trying to, but you're not giving me a chance because you like the AMP1 so much. Well, Toby, that's great to hear. I've never ever thought I'd compose a sentence like this, but I actually said, how was it to play a digital amp back in the day? It feels so wrong, because actually I'm supposed to ask you how it felt to play the analog stuff, and now, nowadays you play the digital stuff. But with you, it's different. Analog, then digital for a decade or so, and back to analog.
Yes.
This is really a great story. And Toby, I think that, I mean, we could go on for
forever,
quite a lot of time, but everything has to come to an end at some point. Maybe we'll have another show next year, whatever. Let's see. But I guess that this is it for now, and this was the story of Toby. Toby, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for being part of the Blue Guitar family, and I just thank you for being the person who you are. Never ever change. Keep on smiling when you're playing guitar. Keep on treating young fans good. You're great the way you are, and I mean, just a huge honor to have you on here. And this is coming from here. It's not anything for the camera. You know how much I respect you, and wow, this is just, it has been overwhelming to work with you on the track, do everything. I'm almost sad that it will end from tomorrow. So yeah. Any last words? Maybe like something like any advice you'd like to give to young people? Maybe there's another 18 years old out there right now who is liking, the way you play guitar, the way you play your riffs. Is there anything you want to tell those people?
Do hilarious stuff, of course. Yes, and what's really important, listen to music, go to shows, support bands, because the times right now are really tough times for any band, and anybody who makes and creates music, and just enjoy music, and yes, go to shows and support the artists you like. Yeah, that's my message right now, I think.
That's a great message. So thanks everyone for tuning in today. Thank you, Toby. We'll see you very soon. Don't forget, obviously, to subscribe to the Blue Guitar channel. Don't forget to check out Grave Digger, the band of Toby, the current band of Toby, and please check the last album, because that's the one where Toby did all the guitar madness, didn't you? Right?
Bone Collector. It's called Bone Collector.
It's called Bone Collector. Some great riffs, some heavy stuff on there, and some serious shred. It's a great album. And obviously, don't forget to maybe order one of these. I mean, it's certainly worth a try. Try it out at the dealer close to you. Order one on your online on an online shop, and I promise you'll be pleased with it. All right, Toby, see you soon. See you soon, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. You too. Bye. Bye.
All right, good people. That was the interview with Toby Kersting. Great guy. I'd say that we'll give it a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, this is the time to get them answered for tonight, for this evening. Obviously, at Blue Guitar, we got great support, so you can write us an email at any time if you wish to know more about our products or if you have any issues with that. But for tonight, it's going to be your last chance to dance. So I'm going to play a couple of riffs here and licks here for you right now. Still with Toby's setting, still with the Marshall cap. Impulse response, and once I'm done playing, I'll take a final look at the chat to see if you guys have any more questions for tonight. So here we go. This is so much fun playing guitars with an AMP1. Oh man. All right, let's take a look at the chat. Here we go. Giffy has a question. Hence, I love the vintage channel on my Mercury, and I'm not a shredder. I would love to hear Emanuel play the shred stuff on his amp on the vintage channel with gain 7 to 8 to compare that sound. All right. Nothing easier than that. So let's take a look at the side cam. Here we are on the modern channel. This is still Toby setting. Let's keep the settings for now, and this is the vintage channel. By the way, gain is on 8. Let's back it up a little bit. So 7.5 in the middle of what you said. This is proper tonage here. So I was getting used to the tone, start shredding then, because I think this is what you were about, right, Giffy? To hear it sounds when you do shred. Now Thomas has a very good idea here, which is, let's go to the AMP1 Mercury and see how the very same settings look there. So as I don't have the Mercury on camera, but trust me, it is on my desk here, it's turned on, we gonna switch to the desktop setting. Right, here we are. So we duplicate this track here, so we have the same cabinet. We're going to input 4 right now, which, sorry, that's, whoop, which then should feature the AMP1 Mercury edition, but I need to plug in the cable. This dude over here. So, oh wow, there we go. It's the wrong channel and the wrong setting, so I'm adjusting it to suit what we had before, and then we're going to the vintage channel, and that is it. To get a little more gain on there, here we go. To make Thomas moves. That's the influence of Thomas' greatness. All right, here we go. That was the Mercury edition. Sounds more mids in there compared to mine, maybe because of the higher bass gain, but sounds very good for solos. Well, you know, I didn't really change the custom control tone knob on the side of the amp, and I have a different cabinet here, right? So still you'll hear the DNA of the amps. However, you know, the cabinet, we did talk about this with Thomas quite a lot in the last episode of Academy of Shred from last month. Maybe you want to check that as well. The cabinet does have quite a huge influence on the sound, right? The amp's still going through, but the cabinet is really important. So maybe that is the part of the chain that makes your amp sound slightly different. I must admit, I really enjoy playing this. This is a good tone. I mean, I do the pedal stuff that I've showed you before, but still, wow. Anyone having any more questions? Because this is the final chance to get those. So Giffy says, yes, cabinet, and I forgot I compared with my Strat, which to compare with humbuckers. You know what? I have a Strat, which I don't know if it's here right now. I think it's in the other apartment. It's in my private place underneath the studio. So I don't want to wake up my child right now, but I'll make sure to keep a Strat for the next stream. You know what, Giffy? Let's do it like this. You're gonna join the next stream next month. I'll be here for you, playing the Amp1 Mercury Iridium, whatever you want, with whatever setting you want to have, with a Strat style guitar. All right, that's the deal we make for tonight. And I guess that also is the last deal that I'll be making tonight, because we had a great evening. I'm super happy. I can't tell you how happy I am that we did the thing with Toby. That you know, like, everything just came together. It's me and Toby and the backstory that we had, and Toby playing the Amp1 anyway. Anyway, I guess you gotta imagine. You know, it's a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, if you will. We kind of work in the same industry. I was calling him, and he tell me that he plays the Amp1 anyway. He's not even an endorser. He played the full price somewhere. And this is just, you know, it's just too great to be true. So I'm super happy to have someone on the show who does play modern stuff, who does play, you know, old schoolish metal, who's such a versatile guitar player, who's such an experienced guitar player, who's such a humble human being. So it was very great to do the show, and be sure that we have more guests coming up for the next couple of episodes as well. So lots of exciting stuff going on. I'll see you guys next month again, and also going to see you on the Guitar Summit, because I'm going to be there with Thomas and the guys. We can hang out there, talk about shred guitars and everything. We're going to have a great time there. So yeah, if you join us on Guitar Summit, you will not regret it for sure. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's such a pleasure to be, you know, working for you guys once a month to bring you the shred tones, the heavier tones, the more modern tones with these devices. Those amps are great. Both of them, I use them every day, and they're absolutely worth giving a try if you haven't already. So that's it. Final words for tonight. Thanks, everyone. Much love goes out to you. And before we finally end the stream, there's one more thing which I want to address. We cracked 15,000 subscribers on the Blue Guitar YouTube channel, which is obviously a huge success. And therefore, I was making sure that I play 15,000 notes tonight on the guitar. Didn't count them, but it may be close to 15,000 if you add up all the shred sequences I did. So obviously, a huge milestone achieved. Thank you for everyone. I mean, I'm just new to the Blue Guitar family. And obviously Thomas is the driving force behind all of this, but it's a huge pleasure to be part of it, and yeah, to contribute to such a great company, to such a great product, and to such great people as you are tuning in, talking tones and playing guitars and everything. Right? Thank you, everyone. Super positive vibes. And yeah, before I let you go, we'll take a listen to the song that I did with Toby. In case you missed it at the beginning, right? We made a song just for the stream today. It was Toby's song, and we did solo over it and played over it. You're going to see that, and then we are out. All right. Enjoy. Take care. Play guitar. Go to shows. Use analog amplifiers mainly. and yeah, just have a great time playing music. This is what it's all about. Good night. See you soon.